All right, I go to the bathroom before you start. It's going to.
Oh, dude, it's starting in 18 seconds.
I know. I'll be right back. Get it warmed up.
Well, all right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. As you can see, I'm solo right now, but Chris will be right back, and we're going to get started in just a skosh. Welcome to today's presentation. I don't know about you guys. I am pumped about this, talking about templates and scripts to attract listing leads and appointments. I think everybody here could probably take a few more listings right now. I mean, I don't know about you. I've never complained when I get a call and a client's like, hey, I need to sell my house. So what we're going to be talking about today is how do we amplify that? How do we increase the velocity of that happening for everybody? By the way, there's Chris.
Hey, hi, about that.
Hey.
Had to do a
welcome back.
Quick wash of the hands before we get started, so that I'd be all.
Oh, that's so smart. That's really smart. All right. So with that, Chris, I was just letting everybody know I'm kind of pumped about being here today. Are you excited?
I'm always excited. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad, for a little break here, we can tune out from the news and focus on learning some new strategies, maybe learning some new templates, definitely learning some new ideas on how to execute, how to be a listing expert agent today.
Oh, yes.
Gary, I thought maybe we could start it off with a poll. And that will help guide us on exactly where to spend more time today. So if you guys could just quickly answer that poll for us, which one of these things is most important to you? Is getting listing leads most important to you today, or perhaps getting scripts to turn leads into appointments, or even templates and dialogues to use during the listing appointment, or scripts to handle discounting and competition? So let us know which one of these things is most important to you, because Gary and I will modify, or I won't say modify the presentation, but we'll definitely customize it for you guys based on what your responses are today. So as you guys start answering that, and we'll go ahead and just introduce who we are and let you know what we're going to be talking about. Our goals for today are pretty simple. We want you to learn a simple and yet effective strategy to find listing opportunities quickly. I don't know about you, Gary, but there are a few problems that a few more listing leads and a few more listings can't solve when it comes to selling real estate. I know, at least for us in our real estate practice here in Austin, Texas.
I was telling everybody that is I never complain when I pick up the phone and I've got a call from a client and they're like, hey, I want to sell my house. Like I'm not complaining about that.
That's never a phone call that you're disappointed to get, right?
No. Bring it on. And what I was saying is, I hope everybody here is in the same boat, because what we want to talk about today is how do we amplify that? Like, let's just increase the velocity of that happening.
Yeah, we want to have a nice steady surplus of that. So we also, I don't know if I said this, but we want to master the conversations and techniques to persuade prospective sellers to list with you. This is actually a really important point because it is the things that we do and the things that we say that either represent ourselves being listing expert agents in our marketplace or not. And so when it comes to marketing, for example, we're either going to market ourselves and people make the interpretation that we're listing expert agents, or they do not. And the conversations that we have, same thing. And then we also want to share with you some strategies and some scripts that you can use to be able to handle some common objections that you encounter. So with that, should we hit the poll, or should we
check out the poll. Let's check out the poll. I've got it open here. And so what I wanted to share with everybody is, gosh, I think, my goodness, 54% of our attendees here are interested in getting listing leads. 23% are interested in templates and dialogues to use. 15% scripts, and only 8% handling discounting and the commissions or in the competition. So
here's what I'm going to do, Gary. I'm going to move them because it is. I want to handle it. I want to address it, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and spend a lot of time on how to get those listing opportunities. Then we're going to spend time on how to what to send before the appointment to set up the appointment itself, and then I'm going to move the objection handling part to the Q&A portion of today's presentation, if that's okay with you, Gary. Yeah. All right. That way we could just spend more time covering some of these essentials. But I thought maybe we could introduce who we are first. I'll introduce myself first, Gary, and then you can introduce you. Just take 20 seconds to introduce who My name's Chris Scott. I'm a real estate digital marketer. I manage social media accounts with probably 200 some thousand connections. For those of you who want to learn about getting listing leads today, that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is focusing on the marketing that's going to produce those listing opportunities. We have a real estate practice here in Austin, Texas. It's me, Gary, his brother, Jonathan. And you can see my family there. They're a big reason why I do what I do. And you can see that was us. I think that was 2 years ago. You see my bride there of about 16 years and our 4 kids and my mom. We were visiting my mom in Japan in that particular photo. And so that's a little bit about me, but we're actually here to learn from this guy right here. Actually, the guy on the right in the photo with the nice pink shirt. So, Gary, why don't you take a moment to introduce who you are? And that's a nice photo of Gary and his bro. We work together here in Austin, and at one of our listings that we sold last year.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Gary Kreth. I've been selling real estate for right at 23 years here in Austin, Texas. And really at the peak of my career of being a listing expert agent, I was going on about 6 listing appointments every single week, carrying about 50 active pending listings at a time, all pretty much on my own. And today, what I love to do is I love to focus most of my time sharing what we know that works with you. But like Chris said, this is with me and my younger brother. He is one of our partners at our real estate firm, standing in front of one of the listings that we sold last year. And so, I'm still out there on the streets, knocking on the doors and getting those listing appointments when I'm not with you. So here we go, Chris.
All right, and with that, that's who's sharing with you today. Let's dive into a 5-step plan for lots of listing leads. So here's how this is going to roll. I'm going to give you the 5 steps. I'm going to talk about them. I'm going to show you examples. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. I'm not going to bother in explaining why this works until after I share with you what these things are. So do me a favor, guys. You'll want to write these down. I tried to make lots of bullet points, and I'll try to explain as we go. I'm just going to share with you the strategy that we've developed. This is how we get business. This is how we get a steady stream of listings. This is how we get a steady stream of just clients in general. I'm going to share with you these 5 steps. I'm going to explain afterwards a little bit about why this is so effective. And if you've done any of these 5 things, I need you to understand something. This is a really big deal, actually. I know you probably would have tried some of these steps. What's key here in the 5 steps I'm going to share with you is doing all 5 of them in the order in which I'm going to describe, okay? That is very essential to their success. If you've done any one of these things, I'm pretty sure they haven't worked for you. Maybe you've done a few of these things, and maybe you've had some success doing some of them, but by and large, you've got to do all 5 of these things in the sequence that I'm going to describe, and then you got to do the last part here. You gotta repeat them, and so this will make probably a little bit more sense as we start to go. So the 5 steps.
Well, Chris, as we get started, can I share an equation with everybody?
Sure.
I love math. I just really do, and so I created this equation to really emphasize how critical this is, and it's a 3 C's equation. And what that is number 1, you need excellent content, and that's what we're talking about here is excellent content related to real estate. That's the first C. You add to that consistency. So that's what Chris just said, is you repeat this, repeat. So content plus consistency equals clients. Mm-hmm. That's how critical this is. And like Chris said, these 5 steps are really important. Follow along exactly what he's telling you to do, because this guy is a real estate digital marketer expert. With that, Chris, let's go.
All right. So step 1, we're going to publish useful real estate information. Okay. The example that I have here and the one we do most frequently is using a blog post about something real estate related, right? So it might be about the real estate market. It might be about real estate tips. It might be about how to get your home ready for sale. It might be about home design trends. Like I said, we vary it up month to month, but we always publish useful real estate information. And I like to do it in a blog format and then it'll make more sense why, but because it gives me something that is more easier to promote. It gives me something of value. And actually the whole point of the blog is not to get business. That's very unlikely. You writing blog posts and then all of a sudden getting clients out of the woodwork is highly unlikely. But here's what is very likely is if you will use this useful real estate information that you've created, you can now use it as informational value that becomes the reason for you to do outreach, right? So it's the reason for you to reach out to people because you now have this value that you're going to offer folks. Okay. So this informational value, and that's why it's real estate related, because we want people, when they think of us, we want them to think of real estate. And when they think of real estate, we want them to think of us. So we're always going to be creating this useful, valuable information. And I'm going to share with you how, if you might be like, gosh, that seems like a lot of work. Don't worry. I'm going to show you a great source for getting all of this information. But we're going to create this for the purpose of doing our outreach. A byproduct of doing it is it also raises our authority, raises and builds credibility, ultimately to enhance our online reputation, which is going to make more sense why we need to do that in just a few moments. So that's step one, is to publish useful real estate information. Step two is to send that information out to everybody that we have, to everybody that we know, right? So anybody who you have an email address for, anybody and everybody that you have an email address for. I'm talking about your sphere of influence. I'm talking about all your contacts. I'm talking about all your friends, about and your family members, and everybody that you know. And maybe you have a whole bunch of leads that you've generated that you've not really acted on, right? Just everybody you've got an email address for. We're gonna send an email out to those folks. And here's the key: we're gonna put a link to that blog post, to that useful real estate information. We're going to put that in there. We're going to put that into the email. The email is just a little synthesis or a summary to be able to promote that blog post, right? So that value that we've created, this is the first step. We're going to now take this value and we're going to start giving it to people. The first method in which we're going to give it to people is through email. Now, I know a lot of you might have to go through and gather some of this up out of your phone, but trust me, it's actually in here. You may not realize it, but you can export all, if you're using Gmail, for example, it's storing all those email addresses and all that information here in your phone that can be exported and then sent out. And so that's what we're going to do for step two. But I recognize you probably don't have an email address for all of your contacts and connections.
Well, I sure don't, Chris. I mean, you know that. What do we have? Like just right around 500 people in our database, right?
Yeah, just under 500 people are actually that we have email addresses for. Yet you're going to see from a lot of our marketing that our sphere of influence is much larger, right? The number of contacts and connections, the number of relationships we have expands that of which we just have email addresses for. Although we're always trying to gather more information on those people, all those on those centers of influence or those spheres of influence, because by offering this value, we now have a reason to ask for their contact information whenever we run into them. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. First step is that we're going to email it. Then what we're going to do, right? So this is the third out of the four steps. We're going to take that same useful information that we published, and now we're going to create just a 1-minute video sharing the highlights or the key points from that article or from that useful information. We can include a link for that video into that social media post, to that actual blog post. So we can post it on our Facebook business page. We can promote it using Facebook ads. And I'm going to share with you a strategy that'll allow you to use Facebook ads for, just $1 a day, right? To promote this for $1 a day for about 30 days. And I'm going to share with you how we got even enough to where I turned it off after just a few days. And you can even take the same information, the same 1-minute video, and share it on your Facebook personal profile. Now, the reason why we're using video in this case, and the reason why it's like, hey, this is a distinction between normally posting on Facebook or social media versus using a video. The reason we're going to shoot a 1-minute video is that the Facebook algorithm really likes video. It really prefers this form of communication. And when we do it, right, it becomes much easier to get our message and to get this information into the hands of our sphere of influence. Because remember, we don't have contact information. We have an email address for everybody that we know. And so by going to social media now, we have more contacts and more connections out there, but we just got to work with the algorithm, not work against it. That's why we're going to create a 1-minute video. I think what I'm going to do, just for the sake of demonstration, is I'm going to play a portion of that video, Gary, so everyone can get a sense.
Yeah, and I did want to let everybody know, like, just to answer a few questions before we even start, that is, I was simply using my phone on a little tripod on my desk, and I shot this from my home office, and it took, what is it, a minute and 20 seconds or 1 minute 27 seconds, and all I did was share my knowledge. Should we roll it?
Yeah, let me play it.
Okay.
And I got to remember. So by default, our talking and video is still on. So we can either just kind of be quiet or I can mute this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and play it and we'll see what happens.
Hey, this is Gary Kreth with Kreth Partners here at Cooper Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm getting a lot of questions, and here's why. The market is changing, and boy, it's changing fast. And there's a myriad of reasons why it's changing. There's interest rates are increasing. There's some political changes going on in our country. There's just a lot going on. But what's most important is how is it affecting you and what you're doing with your real estate? So here's the thing. If you would like.
And so Gary goes on to say, we've got, if you want to have a customized report with more information about what this means for you, just message me. I'll be happy to get I'll be happy to provide you with some more useful real estate information. So it's just a 1-minute video. You'll notice he did it with a vertical view because more people watch on Facebook vertically than any other format. And he was just sharing what he knows. So let me just pull my presentation back up there. And so when we do that, Gary, people are probably like, well, what's the big deal behind doing something like that? Well, I'll tell you what the big deal is that all of a sudden, even though we only have what was like less than 500 people,
487 people in our database, I think.
In our database, yeah. We still, we got 723 people actually watched this video and 85 people clicked on it to get more information, right? So because Facebook likes this format, but also because I spent $1 a day to promote it. Now, here's the irony is I only spent $2.93 to promote this, but
I spent more than that on my coffee this morning, Chris.
Oh, that's the thing is that when we start bringing these things together, right? So we created this useful information. We emailed it to everybody that we know. Now we've created a video, put it onto Facebook, okay? And we've promoted it for just $1 a day. Now all of a sudden, the people, right? So the people around us, the people in our sphere of influence, the people connected to them, right? All of the potential referrals, recommendations, right? All of these folks now are starting to see and hear these messages, which is very important. Remember, what we said we're trying to accomplish is that when they think of real estate, they think of us, and when they think of us, they think of real estate. And so that is building on it. Now, I also advocate on doing traditional social media posts throughout the month as well. So although you only need to do that video once a month, so from a timing standpoint, the blog post that we created, we do that once a month. The email, we do once a month. The video, we only do once a month. You could do it more than that if you're like getting comfortable with it. With social media, I actually suggest doing a total of 4 times a month, right? And what we're going to do here is because that video serves as one, and then you can do one a week for the others. And what we're going to do here is just do a traditional social media post talking about some feature from the article. You could pull a stat from the article. You can pull an image and drop a stat, provide some useful information out of the article to be able to promote the article itself or that useful information, post it on your business page, share it from your business page onto your personal profile, and then the other social media accounts that you've been actively posting. Now, we do these first 4 steps, and we do them for the purpose of getting to the 5th step. Okay, I know all of these things that we've done is actually the groundwork that's necessary to do this last step. Now, this last step is the part that a lot of people won't do, and it is the unfortunate, it's really unfortunate. Unfortunately, here's what happens a lot of times. For some of you, you're going to send out the email or you're going to do the video and people are going to be like, hey, I've been meaning to talk to you. And it's a bummer when that happens. I mean, it's great when that happens, obviously. I mean, like that happened to Gary and he was like, why do I need to call anybody? Why do I need to contact anybody? I already got like millions of dollars in production just from sending the email out. It's like, because Gary, we're doing this whole strategy. You got to follow through and do the 5th step, please. And we actually had to modify the 5th step. So the 5th step is to do individual follow-up, individual messaging follow-up. Back in the olden days when we used to say yay and thee, Gary would pick up the telephone and call people. These days, but he just wouldn't do it, no matter what.
Here's what actually happened is I got to a point to where I'm picking up my phone and I'm calling and I'm like, people aren't answering the phone anymore. If I leave a voicemail, they don't call me back. And I felt like I was just wasting my time because I wasn't getting the response that I wanted. And so Chris asked me one time, he goes, hey, when was the last time you called everybody in the database? I was like, dude, I haven't done that in a long time. So what he did is he changed my entire practice to this.
Yeah, we just send we do messages now, right? You can use Facebook Messenger, you can use Instagram direct messages, you can use your regular text message number, right? So like what we're doing is because and the great thing about using like Facebook is, or Facebook Messenger, is you're automatically connected to everybody that you're connected to on Facebook. And you don't have to do anything promotional, because if you've done the first 4 steps and you've done this consistently, all you have to do is show up in their inbox. All you have to do is say, hey, how's it going? You just got to say, hey, I just wanted to check in. Here's what's up with me. What's going on with you? You don't need to say anything else, because all of the other stuff that we've done, chances are they've seen it. So here's what happens. They get that little Facebook Messenger notification. They look down, they see it's you. Before they even open it, remember, if we've done our job, what happens with the previous 4 steps is that when they think of real estate, they think of us. And when they think of us, they also think of real estate. That's the beauty of it. Is so we do this once a month. You might not be able to do it once a month. At least do it every other month, whatever. You can just do some regular outreach. And what you're going to do is just check in with people. Just, hey, it's been a while. I wanted to see what's going on with you. And that's it. Don't ask for business. Don't do anything of the sort. Right? People want to feel like that we care about them. And they now know, because we've been doing the other parts, they know we sell real estate. And now what we're doing is we're going to build that connection. We're going to build on that connection, because this is how we ultimately produce superior trust, is by using a relationship or a personal connection and doing this type of just simple checking in that creates that superior trust, so that when they evaluate the marketplace and they're like, who am I going to work with? They're going to immediately already have thought of us, and they're already going to have the inclination, the predisposition to work with us just based on how they feel. I like Gary. He's always reaching out from time to time. You know what? He doesn't take me for granted. I'm going to hire Gary. I mean, look at all this great stuff he sends me throughout the course of the month, over the course of the year. So we make it easy for them to work with us. We make it easy, even if they've never worked with us in the past, because they're in our sphere of influence, because they're in our centers of influence. That's how we end up getting hired. Now, if you're wondering, well, Gary, Chris, how much business would that actually produce for me? And I'm going to share with you, it's the lion's share of the business.
But Chris, why can't I just buy leads online? This is the reason why.
You could, but you would be wasting a lot of money if you're not doing this really well already. And here's what I find, and I'm going to share with you an alarming statistic on how many of those other folks out there who are falling down on this, not you guys, because you got this new strategy. But when it comes to how sellers find real estate agents and how they find their real estate professional, it's like almost 70%. Either they already know them, they were referred or recommended to them, or it was a repeat customer. Okay. We get crazy about the online lead opportunities, and it's like 4% of the total transaction volume, right? So that's why this is so important. And this is on average. If you actually use this strategy, you can get to where, like with Gary, I mean, with you and Jonathan, it's pretty much 90% of the business comes just from the sphere, through recommendations.
Yeah. Chris, if you look at our business, for me, coming out of my database, it's always been over 85%. For Jonathan, coming out of his database, he's almost at 100% of his business is coming from his own database.
Yeah. And he's just constantly working on it, constantly, like getting recommendations, getting referred, getting, as his center of influence, as his sphere grows, just so the people who know of him and who he knows, when he's reaching out, when he's checking in, people are like, oh yeah, Jonathan, he's a good guy. He's good at real estate. Obviously, he's sending all this stuff out. He's a good guy. I'm going to hire him. Now, here's the unfortunate truth. And this is what happens to too many of us these days, is that we're pretty sure we've already got this covered. But this is again from the National Association of Realtors. According, 76% of sellers, they don't hire the same agent that they hired to buy the home in the first place. And you would think,
Chris, go ahead.
You would think you were basically entitled to this, right? Like, hey, I helped them get in the home. I took good care of them. I did everything. Why would 76% of the time do they go somewhere else? And their recommendations and referrals, by the way, this is why when we don't have a plug in this hole, why so many of us don't get so much, that like the surplus of opportunity, is because yes, you're not getting the repeat opportunities, but more important, you're not getting the on average 2 recommendations a year that those people produce, again, according to the National Association of Realtors. So, if the typical person in your sphere of influence or past clients are going to be producing, 2 recommendations, unless they're working with somebody else. And by the way, they've started referring somebody else. They've started working with somebody else. They started speaking somebody else's accolades. And that's why this system that we've this outlined for you, these 5 steps that we've articulated, what that does is we're taking these different tools like a blog, tools like email, tools like social video, tools like social media, tools like Facebook Messenger. And instead of just like putting the word out, we're actually directing that at a real source of business. Right? Over 70% of the business on average is coming, or just under 70% of the business on average is coming from our contacts and connections. And by just focusing on it, right? By applying great focus and consistency, or using Gary's 30 C's of, great content, consistency equaling the clients, what happens is we get those recommendations, we get those referrals, we get the word of mouth, we get word of click, we just get business from people who know us, right? We get repeat customers, and we get the increased reputation.
Yeah.
And
Chris, in my mind, if everybody here is not doing this, you are completely missing out on the lion's share of your business, and you're just like basically giving it away to other agents. And that we should not be doing that.
Until you do what we're talking about here, you will be, as you start to go try and use other methods and other forms of marketing, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to get leads from Facebook ads, I'm going to go get leads from Google, oh, I'm going to go buy leads from Zillow, right? Everything you're going to do after, like, if you're not doing this, the cost of doing those things goes up like exponentially. If you're doing this, the cost goes down exponentially. When you're doing this really well, you could be like my friend Christopher Dean, who's in one of the top teams in Houston, almost $90 million in production last year with only 4 folks, a team of 4 agents. Like they can do billboards and get business out, but because they're rocking this part of it and they're rocking it really well. In fact, Teresa says, so we actually provide our clients with the marketing materials to be able to implement this. And Teresa says, thanks, Jordan, for another great campaign. I sent the email out, had a great open rate. Within 20 minutes of sending it, received a listing appointment request. And Teresa, she's been a longtime member of ours. She does this consistently, day in, day out. And so I want to get into what to send before the listing appointment, but I just want to give a heads up. I'm sure I haven't had a chance to really pay attention to the chat section, Gary, because I've been focused on sharing this information. But usually at some point, someone will say, well, where do we get this stuff?
Well, they asked this long ago, like they're so far ahead of you.
Okay. All right. Sorry for being late to the party here. We actually have a membership where we provide our members every month with everything that they need to implement all 5 steps. I'm talking blog posts, the emails, the scripts for the videos, the weekly social media posts. We provide it all, and you just gotta, you just implement it, right? You just send it out. So we provide all of that content to make it easy for you to reach out, and I'll talk more about that later today. I don't want to get bogged down with how awesome our club is, because it is pretty awesome, and especially the marketing materials that we put together. But what happens is, by doing these 5 steps consistently, trust me, you're gonna have plenty of opportunities. Just do the 5 steps and do them consistently. But here, all of a sudden, what I want to do, we used this term earlier on, Gary, when we were introducing you. We said, for those of you, or how you are a listing expert agent. Mm-hmm. And, part of the thing that we want people to do, especially with us doing that marketing consistently, is we want people to know us to be of a certain thing. We want people to know of us to have a certain level of professionalism. We want people to know of us so that when they evaluate the other people that they know not only trust us because we've been staying in touch, but they see a distinct value proposition that is different in the marketplace. We want to be seen as top listing agents in the market, right? And by the way, in order to do that, you just say and do the things the listing expert agents do. And I'm going to share with you some of those templates. And it starts with the marketing that we did. And then it really starts to take off with, all right, as we get these listing opportunities, now what do we do? What do we send out? How do we prepare for the listing opportunity?
Yeah, because every time, here's the thing, Chris, every time you get in that bat, you got to be pointing for the stands, right? Because you want to knock this out of the park, because otherwise we lose that at bat and we're giving it to somebody else. So this is really critical, because this will set you apart and differentiate you from your competition and help you win that listing.
So here's pretty much, we send out a little pre-listing packet. The main thing in the pre-listing packet, that we want to be able to communicate, if that's the only thing that they do, right? I don't care if they don't read anything, but they just look at one thing. It is our property marketing plan. And so what we do is, before the listing appointment, right, what we'll do is say, hey, check out our property marketing plan, right? So we'll have them check this property marketing plan out. And it's a lot like what it sounds like. It's a marketing plan for their house. Now, I don't want you guys to get bogged down with, in the example here, it says 8 weeks. You might have a 4-week one. You might have a 12-week one. You might have a no-week one. It'll just say like marketing plan. That is up to you. When I first created this, I made an 8-week plan. Homes at the time were selling in about 30 days. Homes are selling even faster now. But you know, you might want to have it for 12 weeks. And then some people will say, well, will it really take that long? No, it won't. But I got to contingency
for a lot of our listings, you know, we just need a 24-hour marketing plan.
Really. So, but I would much rather have the marketing plan kind of like, what is it? Under promise and over deliver, right? So like when they're like, we're like, hey, here's what the averages are doing. We've got a marketing plan to account for like the worst case scenario, and here's what it is. Now here's what happens, and this is an important point. The marketing plan, it just lists out every single thing that we're going to do to market that home, right? To be able to attract buyers. I'm talking the kitchen sink of everything that we're going to do. For us, by the way, it means more than just putting in the MLS. It means more than hitting syndicate. We're going to do property tour videos. We're going to run ads. We're going to put it on Google, and we're going to do everything. And I'll talk more about some of the things that we do when we get into part of the conversation that we have during the listing presentation. But here's the deal. This is why this is such a big deal. All of a sudden, because you've sent out a marketing plan, you've now created a new standard of expectation of what they think they should be getting from other real estate professionals. Okay.
What do you call this, Chris? You call this ethically sabotaging your competition.
This is ethically sabotaging the competition. Actually, Gary, you did this with what, 5 other agents that you beat out on 7. That one?
Yeah, 7 other. So here's what happened is Chris produced this for me, and he's like, dude, you got to start using this. I was like, what? I just kind of think they would like, I'll just tell him.
He was very hesitant, by the way. He was very hesitant.
Well, I was like, you know, I nail my listing presentation. And during that, we actually talk about this. And he's like, dude, just trust me. Just start sending this out before your listing appointment and just see what happens. So I went on this listing appointment where I was competing against 7 other highly competitive listing agents, luxury listing agents. I wanted this listing bad because this was in downtown Austin, over $1 million. Like, it was perfect. Oh. And so what happened is I sent it to them. They didn't respond. Like, I sent out this email and it had this in it, but they didn't respond. And I was like, well, okay, well, I guess it didn't work. So then I show up at the listing appointment. They have this printed on and sitting on the dining room table. And when I saw that printed and sitting on the dining room table, my heart skipped a beat, because I was like, oh my gosh, they printed this. They probably read it. I'm getting this. Mm-hmm. And you know what happened, Chris? They hired me. And I asked them, why did you choose me over the other 7 agents? And they said, the number one reason is because you had a detailed marketing plan for our home. No other agents had that. And we're hiring you because of your marketing plan.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about why this came up. The reason we created this was actually we had a prospect that I remember. There was one of our team members, Carrie. She was actually prospecting, right? She was calling, and I was walking by the office. I went to go grab like an espresso, and I'm walking by, and she literally just hands the phone to me, and I'm like, "What? What?" She's like, "It's a person who wants to know what we do to market a home." I was like, "Oh. Hello? Hey, all right." And his guy was, he was
not a very nice man in the beginning, right?
In the beginning, he was, you know why? Because we were back in those days, we used to call on expireds, right?
Right.
So she was calling on expireds, got this one deal. And so he was like, so, da, 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 and I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I kind of told him a little bit about it, but I was caught off guard. And he was like, well, that actually sounds pretty interesting. I'll be there tomorrow at 10, be there. And I was like, Carrie, he's going to be here tomorrow at 10. And so I handed her the phone back and she was like, were you going to be there? I was like, yeah, I don't know. She was like, please, please. So I was like, all right, I'll be there. And then I went back to the office and I was like, I can't just show up there completely unprepared. And so what I did is I sat down and I typed out everything that we did, because the guy seemed really like, he seemed a little angry, to be honest with you. On the phone, he seemed a little angry. So I was worried he was going to show up angry at the office the next day. So I was like, I better like list out everything that we do, right? So, you know, that way I could just be like, here's what we do. And, you know, so I did. And it took me several hours typing everything out. I was furiously typing. And then he shows up. I had it printed out. I put it down on the table. He's like, he reads through it. He's like, you guys know what you're talking about. You're hired. I was like,
it was that easy. I mean, it was that easy. And I remember Carrie telling me when she got off the phone, she's like, I don't really know if I want to meet this guy because he was angry. And I was like, he's angry because another realtor made promises, didn't deliver, and couldn't sell his house. So of course he's angry.
Ironically, like there was no discussion about fees at this point. He read this plan and then he was like, what are your fees? We explained our fees and he was like, where do I sign? Or I was actually, I'll be surprised. I know Gary's system works, process works, but I'm always surprised when it happens like in real life like that, especially when I guess it's normal when you have regular clients and everything goes smoothly. It's different when you've got what starts off as a difficult customer or a difficult prospect and all of a sudden rolls along smoothly. So we send that out. And like I said, that happened for us serendipitously, I guess. I later found out that according to the National Association of Realtors, the number one thing that home sellers want us to do is to market the home to potential buyers, you know, in a series of things ranked on what they want us to do. It's like the number one thing every single year is, hey, we want you to market the homes. And in hindsight, it makes sense. At the time, I didn't realize it, but that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, what it does, Chris, is before we even show up for the listing appointment, we're building trust with our customers. Yeah. And we build it up to such a point that sometimes I'll walk into a house and they're like, and I start to say, you know, well, would you like to talk about our specific marketing plan? They're like, no, we read everything. We're just ready to get started.
Yeah. Well, that's when you know you've achieved the listing expert agent status, right? When basically your reputation precedes you. Basically, where when people interact with you, they're like, yeah, just tell me what to do, right? It's like how most people interact with their doctors, right? You know, you have a lot of authority. The doctor has a lot of authority, so you're like, all right, I should do this. Give me the plan. All right, I go do that. They're not, you know, like trying to beat us up on the price or trying to beat us up on, you know, what they think it's worth or, you know, what the neighbor got for it or what our fees are. So this actually leads us nicely into the listing presentation itself. So we sent out, you know, from the time we generate the opportunity or the opportunity takes place, and then we send out our property marketing plan, and then, you know, we're going to show up for the listing presentation or the listing appointment. And there, you know, Gary has a series of steps that he does for every single listing appointment. He starts off with, you know, asking some questions to, you know, verify information that he got, and then he'll do he'll inspect the home and take lots of photos, but then he'll sit down. And it'll be time to talk about what Gary refers to as the marketing proposal, which we all call listing presentations.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody here, listen to exactly what Chris said. It's a marketing proposal. Let's not use our real estate industry jargon on our clients. They have no idea what a listing presentation is.
Which it actually jives very nicely with the fact that we sent them a property marketing plan. Yep. And now we're going to talk about the marketing proposal for their home. And so what I did for this part of the presentation, Gary, is I've just pulled a few of the slides from your listing presentation. I'm not going to go through all of them. We don't have that kind of time today. But I am going to zero in on some key points to the conversation that we're going to have. Because, you know, throughout the listing appointment, what we're trying to do is build superior trust. Now, our marketing should already have done a lot of that. And the property marketing plan will have done a lot of that. Now, what we're doing is we're just essentially cementing the deal, right? As long as we don't make any mistakes at this point, the opportunity should be ours, right? But we want to make sure that they recognize us as being a listing expert agent, which means there are certain things we got to say. Remember how I said very beginning, if we want to be listing expert agents, we just got to say and do the things that listing expert agents do. Well, here's some of the things that they're going to say. Some of the things that they're going to do are, well, actually, instead of talking about what they do, I'm just going to dive into one of the things that Gary talks about. So Gary, this is one of the slides from the listing presentation or the marketing.
My favorite one.
And as a listing expert agent, you communicate to them how you perform, or how our firm performs, I should clarify, how our firm performs against the marketplace, right? Sure. This is like this is like expert status stuff. But can you talk about this particular, why do you do this, and then how do you do it?
Yeah, so number one is every single client, every single seller I've ever met with, they always have the two similar or almost exact questions. How long does it take you to sell houses? Like, how long will it take you to sell my house, and for how much? Mm-hmm. And so what we want to do is we just want to address that very early in our marketing proposal for them. And when this slide comes up, this is what I say. And in fact, Chris, I'm gonna pull you in here. You're gonna be my client. Okay. I say, Chris, let me ask you a question. Do you like statistics? Oh, by the way, everybody here, listen to every single word that I say, because it's scientific as to why I say it and how the words are prepared. So I say this, Chris, do you like statistics?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you know what? And they don't lie. And I love statistics too. And, I love these particular statistics because it always shows me how well we outperform our competition in the marketplace. And so let's take a look and see exactly what this can mean to you. So, in Austin right now, homes are selling in about 48 days. Now, I'll tell you, Chris, from 23 years of experience, that's actually pretty good. That's a really solid number. However, when you hire us at Kreth Partners, on average, we're selling houses in 16 days. Now, that's a lot faster, isn't it?
That seems a lot faster.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what our average is against the competition. Additionally, right now, if you hire an average realtor in Austin, they're selling houses for about 98.25% of the ask price. Now, I'll tell you, that is still a very, very good statistic. However, when you hire us at Kreth Partners, on average, we're selling houses for 101.7% of ask price. Now, Chris, let's assume now that's a difference of 3.45%. Like, we're selling them for 3.45% more than the average agent. Now, let's assume that we sell your house for $575,000. On average, what that means is that we are going to earn you $19,837.50 more than the competition. Now, I don't know about you, Chris, but that's a lot of money, isn't it?
Wow, that's what you did there is extremely effective at communicating a few different things, right? One of the things is that you show to the prospective seller, like, here's, you probably know average people, and here's how I compare to the average, or how my firm compares to the average. Okay. And so that's good. Like now, all of a sudden, now you're giving them, if they've come into the appointment feeling like they like you, and now what you're doing is you're just equipping them with the rational means for them to say, you're the one, you're the one, you're the one. All right. So letting them know. The other thing you're doing is you're translating that statistic, that percentage, which is always confusing. Like, okay, 98%, 101%. What you've done is you said, here's what this means to you. 19,000 reasons why, right? Yep. And so that is also extremely effective at communicating to the prospective seller, like, oh, so you being more competent than the rest of the folks out there actually translates into more money for me. That makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And by the way, Chris, then I take this and I put the phone between us and I leave it there for the rest of the appointment with the screen on.
And then I would imagine what we've done is we've really helped that prospective seller have an understanding on what we do, and why we do, and why we charge what we charge, right? The property marketing plan does a big job in that, showing the results of the property marketing plan in terms of the results that we're going to produce for them. It does a good job of that. Showing them the financial consequences, another big way of doing it. So all of a sudden, right, like, you are now equipped to be able to handle any questions about your fees in the future, right? Like, that's the groundwork that was necessary.
Once I started using this slide and explaining to them how well we outperform the market, what happens is that the objection of will you discount your fees it just fizzles. It goes away, because here's the thing: if we're showing them how much more we're making them, they're like, well, gosh, why would he discount? I don't need him to discount. He's going to make me so much more money. And here's the other thing, Chris: who knows and uses statistics?
Experts. Right.
Experts. You want to be a listing expert agent, you got to know your numbers. And by the way, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm a brand new agent, I don't have any statistics, or my statistics are not as good as that, these are not my personal statistics. These are our firm's statistics.
Yeah, okay? You got to lean into your firm. You lean into your broker, right? That's what we're there. That's why they are there, is to support you. Now, one of the things that happens, by the way, and we've done some of the homework, we've done some of the groundwork to prepare for this, but here's inevitably what happens. And they may not ask this directly, but psychologically, whenever you make a claim, this is a claim. We're claiming that we can do better than the market. And we've made some specific claims. We've said by this many days and by this many dollars. And now all of a sudden what happens from a psychological standpoint, and this is very important, the psychology of selling is so important when it comes to working directly in person with that seller. I mean, heck, through the entire time. But I want to get in on one of the key points of the psychology here, is that they are left with a question, okay, you do that, how?
And Chris, this is a great way to transition to the next slide. What you say is we address that and say, Chris, you're probably wondering how we outperform that well.
Now, at this point, what you can do, we've got slides in the listing presentation, but really what you're doing is you're following up on that property marketing plan. You want to make sure you zero in on it, right? You want to make sure you address it, because there might be maybe they didn't read it. Maybe they were like, you know what, I meant to read that and I didn't read it. What is it, right? So you definitely want to cover everything that you're going to do. And you can say, now, when you have a chance, you may want to, if you haven't had a chance, check out that property marketing plan. In it, I describe the marketing of what we're going to do. We're going to do everything to prepare that home. We're going to create all the marketing for it. We're going to start, we're going to launch that into the marketplace. And then we're going to have ongoing promotion using all these different sources. And at this point, you can talk about some of the highlight features of your marketing plan. Like for ours, one of the big highlight features is we pretty much always now will do full video. Like we actually bring our video person out. We'll do a full walking tour video, and because we know we're going to use that for marketing. We know that they're gonna, it's an experience for them. It's just a cool thing to do, and it is one of the things that really sets us apart in the marketplace. So we talk about all this stuff, and of course, the marketing proposal and that property marketing plan, they document and they reference it. But it is important for us to have the conversation. You don't want to just say never assume that they read the marketing plan.
Well, even if it's printed out on their table, don't assume that they actually read it.
They might have printed it out in preparation for the,
If we don't share with them everything that we're doing and everywhere that we're going to market, guess what they think?
That we don't do it.
That we don't do it. And in fact, I've lost business because of that. So just trust us that this works beautifully if you follow the system.
Now, at this point, you're going to come to a close on the listing appointment process. And for Gary, what he basically does is, as he comes to the close of it, and there's some more conversation points that he has throughout before from this slide till the end, but basically he wraps it up. He goes over the pricing strategy for the home, and then he's going to go into reviewing the paperwork, and at which point he will basically pretty much every time get the signed agreement right there on the spot. Just digitally sign it. If it's not digitally signed for whatever reason, paper copy also works, although digital is preferred. And then the listing appointment is done, but we're not done. So
we're not done yet, Chris. This is just kind of, we got the listing agreement, but what now?
Right. So the mark of the professional are the little differences that happen throughout that experience, right? So when you think about it from a customer's perspective, the real distinction, in this case, a listing expert agent being that professional, are the little subtle differences on what they do and how they experience the customer. A subtle difference, for example, and it's a small one, but it's a big one, was us sending a property marketing plan before the listing appointment, right? That was a big one. Another one was the use of professionally created slides or from our our marketing proposal. That stuff was professionally designed, and it just represents us in a certain way, right? And so all of a sudden they're left with, because I want them, when they refer and recommend us, and when we make it, we also want to make it easy for that to happen, but I want them to have the experience of being served by a listing expert agent to be the source of that recommendation and referral, because they're going to speak from emotion, right? They're not going to speak from like they're not going to say, well, Gary sells homes for 3.45% more. No, they're not going to remember any of that stuff. Here's what they're going to be left with. Man, Gary's a real pro. That's the feeling that we want them to be left with, because that's the feeling from which they're going to communicate every single recommendation and referral in the future, on average 2 a year, right? And so we need that to happen, and we need to do it. And one of the little distinctions that we can do is what we send after the appointment. See, a lot of people will just get busy. They just get to work, not us, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to onboard the customer. We're going to onboard them and actually help them best understand how to interact with us and get them ready and equip them with information. So what we like to do is we'll send them what we call a client welcome kit, right? Yes. So a client welcome kit is just a document, right? It's a document that's going to give them information about our services and how to interact with us. And it's also going to give them a tool to refer us with, because they'll have that emotion. But also, if we give them this client welcome kit, and we'll tell them, hey, feel free to share this with anybody that you know who could benefit, who might be thinking of moving. Now, instead of them just relying on raw emotion, which is really what we want, we now facilitate more recommendations taking place by just giving them a tool to refer us with. So we provide them this client welcome kit, and I don't want to get too much into all of the details in here, because everybody can have a different one. I'm just going to share with you what's in ours. So we'll include, a little bit about you. We have a little bit about Gary there. And then and you've probably seen this or observed this, we try to give people lots of information. We try to educate them, not just give them information. We try to educate them, and we try to equip them. So if they're buying a home, for example, we provide resources for them for buying a home, right? Just articles and tips and useful information on buying a home, right? That's going to help them. We talk a little bit about the advantages of working with us, because remember, they might be using this to recommend or refer us with. So the person reading this may not know us, or they aren't working with us yet. So we want to make sure we include some of the advantages of working with us. By the way, the reason we do this for our existing clients who've already said yes is we want to affirm their decision. It's very important to affirm their choice to work with us.
Why is that? What's the psychology behind that?
Well, so what happens is whenever somebody makes a decision, and we're actually driven by this, many of the decisions that we make are actually driven by what we think other people will think of us making that decision. Does that make sense? Right? Like, we might buy a pair of shoes based on what other people will think, or we may not buy a pair of shoes. We might buy a car based on what other people think, right? So I might not, someone might not buy a car that they perceive as below them, nor will they buy a car that's like, oh, if I get that car, people are going to think I'm different. I've changed. People are going to say, oh, he's different. He's changed. He ain't like the old Gary or Chris that I used to know, right? The same thing with buying a home. Oh, you're going to buy in that neighborhood? Oh, people might judge me if I buy in that neighborhood. So we're always looking for affirmation from others. And even when it comes to the professional that we've hired, we want them to know that, hey, you made a good choice. I know that there's other people out in the marketplace, and you trust me and I trust you, and I just want you to know you made a good choice here. And we're just giving them, we don't have to say that. We're just letting them know what the advantages are in working with us, so that they will interpret that as, I'm glad I hired Gary. Gary's the right fit for me. We also include ways to interact and engage with us in the client welcome kit as well. In this case, it is what we call the Home Buyer Direct Access Program. And we just let people know the different services that we provide. Another thing, of course, we want to address, because the person receiving this might be someone who's recommended or referred to us. And so we want to include in here also advantages on working with us to sell. Of course, that's also affirming this new listing opportunity. We want to provide some additional resources to help them to prepare for selling their home. And then if they haven't already had a listing appointment with us yet, we like to package that up, what we call an expert home value analysis, i.e. a listing appointment. And then we also let them know, right, the other things that we're going to do, like send useful information every single month. Does that ring a bell? Remember at the very beginning
we started.
We said we're going to send useful information out every single month. Well, you let them know this is going to happen, so that they can actually expect it and know it All right. So that way they know what's going to happen. We let them know that there's that we have a professional network if they need a referral. We can save them time by recommending somebody that we trust, whether it's a carpet cleaner, landscaper, so on and so forth. In here, Gary would even, a new thing that we've added in is making sure we address the fact that we will work with you. A lot of Gary's clients have investment properties. And so we have, talk about, hey, I serve investor clients or whatever other areas that you want to focus, right? And of course, because somebody might be using this as a recommendation, or it might be getting recommended through this tool, right? So a client of yours or a new client of yours might even pass this along to a friend. Make sure your contact information is in there, right? Just make it easy for them to get a hold of you. And so that is the client welcome kit. And what's going to happen is that if you will do these things of what we talked about, right? So what we said, well, what we used to generate the opportunity, right? The 5-step process, then what we did before the listing appointment, what we said during the listing appointment, and then what we send after the listing appointment. Those are the things that listing expert agents say and do. And as a result, if you will apply a little bit of consistency, right? Just doing it consistently over a little bit of time, what you're going to find is that you too are going to be a listing expert agent. And so I wanted to make a special invitation. I wanted to make a special offer to everybody today. I'm going to give away as gifts some of the templates that we've talked about during today's training as part of a special offer. So what I'll do is I'll just, I will pull those up real quick. We're going to give away that client welcome kit that we just showed you and talked about. We normally sell that for like $500-600. And so we're giving that away as a gift today. And we're also giving away Gary's full listing presentation today, which I didn't go into all of the slides for. I only went into a handful of them. I think it's 20 some actual slides and scripts that go along with that as well. So we're giving these 2 templates away today as part of this special offer. You can get these templates for free when you join our marketing club. Okay, so you can get both of these templates. They're customizable, they're editable. You can make them your own. You'll get them downloadable in PowerPoint and Keynote. You'll get them when you join our club. Now, if you've never heard of our club before, we created our club to help you stand out and get recognized for your expertise using tools, technology, and marketing, and hopefully in a way that makes real estate fun and definitely in a way that makes you stand out as a listing expert agent. Here's what some of our members have said and reported to us about the club. These 2 folks were new agents. They were new when they had started. Cynthia said, Paperless Agent's incredible. I've been a member since 2015. If you're new in real estate, save yourself money and time and go no further. PA is the most valuable real estate resources, hands down. Lisa says, when I was a brand new agent in November 2013, I discovered the Paperless Agent. They're the best. I credit much of my 6-figure success to them. Thank you, Lisa. I always love reading that one. It just kind of makes me all warm and fuzzy. So our club is designed to do a handful of things, and it's designed to do them pretty well. First, we want to provide you and help you get clients on demand. And in doing so, you're going to have consistent and predictable income. We want to give you the systems to replicate leads and save time. We want you to get recognized for your great service, and we want clients to place a premium on your expertise as listing expert agents. And so when this happens, you're going to be like Teresa, right? So Teresa said, I wanted to say a huge thank you to the Paperless team. Thank you, Gary, Jordan, Chris, and the whole team behind the scenes. We actually tripled our income in 2017. We sold over $9 million, all because we followed the plan. And she goes on to talk more about what that plan involves. You might be wondering, what the heck is that plan, right? What exactly is this plan that allowed her to triple her income? And it is our 5-step career acceleration plan, right? So step 1 is we're going to build a powerful online presence. Step 2 is we're going to market to our base. Step 3 is we're going to ace every listing appointment. Step 4, we're going to scale and replicate leads on demand. And step 5, we're going to put parts of our real estate practice on autopilot. And the way we're going to implement these steps is using some of the features that are included with our club. So every month, part of our club is going to give you new training topics, right? Whether it's about listings, marketing, social media, tools, and productivity. If it's useful in real estate, we're going to cover it. And we take all those recordings and we put them into the training library. You don't have to go through those trainings every single month. You just use it on demand when you need it, just in time. We also provide you with marketing materials to implement those 5 steps that we talked about on how to generate those listing opportunities. We give you blog posts. We give you marketing emails. We give you social media posts. We give you video scripts and a whole lot more every single month. Remember, these are the same tools that we provided Teresa, where within 20 minutes of sending the marketing out, she got a listing appointment request. Love hearing those types of success stories from our clients. We're also going to give you a Google-friendly marketing website. That's right. You get a marketing website included when you join the club so that you always look good online. The fact of the matter is you can look just as good as those top agents out there if you just have the right online presence. And part of that online presence is going to have a good website. Now, some of you might already have websites out there. This is not meant to replace them. This is meant to enhance or complement your existing online presence. We will automatically publish a blog post every single month with useful real estate information so that you can implement it as part of the 5-step marketing materials that we provide you with. You can also create property landing pages if you want to implement a property marketing strategy using these online resources, as well as a bunch of lead generation templates. Like I mentioned, we've got a whole resource library. There's hundreds of tutorials. There's checklists. There's implementation plans, instructional videos, lots and lots of done-for-you resources. Everything from home buyer guides to Facebook ad checklists. Everything is in there if there's something that you need to get done in real estate. A few more reports. Teresa says, you made me a rock star. I've been in the business since '92 and never had a plan I could faithfully follow that works. Can't thank you enough and love the new book. Todd says, I've been an agent for 20 years and nothing else compares to what you guys provide. If an agent can't use your resources to make it happen for them, they need to go do something else. And I love hearing that vote of confidence, Todd, every time that I read that. Fact of the matter is, you guys would spend hundreds of dollars every single month getting these tools and these resources from other firms. To get marketing materials, that's $100 a month. A marketing website, another $100 a month. Templates and training, again, at least another $100 a month. But here's the thing, you can join our club. And not only will you get the gifts that we were talking about, you get all those features in the club for only $67 today, right? You should get all of that for just $67. And the club is a membership, but you can easily cancel hassle-free, no questions asked. There's no contract or commitment. That's right. There's no contract. There's no commitment. It's the month to month. You can download everything in there and leave. That would hurt my feelings. But at the end of the day, if it's not the right fit for you, it's not the right fit for you, but I believe it will be. Now, I've got an extra special bonus gift today when you sign up, and it is for the property marketing plan template that I had shared with you. You can show your listing prospects how you stand out as a listing expert agent using our property marketing plan. It's the exact same one, except for it's customizable, so you can change the graphics, you can change the details in the marketing plan so that it can conform to what you are actually going to do. And you're going to get all of this today, right? You're going to get all of these things today when you join the club. So you're going to get Gary's listing presentation templates, as well as the scripts for each one of the slides from his listing presentation. You're going to get our client welcome kit template, so you've got something to send after the listing appointment. And you've got that property marketing plan to help you stand out before the listing appointment. And you get all this when you join the club. And remember, when you join the club, you're going to get the marketing materials that you need every single month to be able to implement the 5 steps to generate more listing leads and more listing opportunities. And with that, Gary, if they want to sign up, I believe they should have seen a button pop up on their screen that says $2,000 some in free gifts. Join the marketing club and just click on that link to join now. Do this today so that you get all of these bonus gifts. You can join later, but you won't get all of these cool tools for you to use. So I highly suggest that you do it now before the day gets away from you, and you get them, you download them. You can literally have this stuff in place very quickly, and you don't need to do it all right now. I mean, maybe what you're needing is just, hey, I need a solid marketing plan that I can use to generate opportunities. That's what those 5 steps are. For others out there, you're like, you know what? I do have a listing appointment coming up, and I think I'm going to upgrade my listing appointment with 1 or 2 or maybe all of the slides from the listing presentation. Heck, if the only thing that you do is say, I'm just going to start sending out a property marketing plan, I tell you, it is well worth the investment.
Yep, absolutely. And Chris, what I did as you were talking there, I created that offer and popped it up there. So there are 2 places here where you can join our club. I think it's up over there in the chat, at the top of the chat. If you click on that view offer, it'll pop up and you can click on a link. Also, over there. I don't know. On your screen, it says join now. So it says join the marketing club. Click on that blue button that says join now. It's going to take you to the form to where you can join the club. And as soon as you join, you're going to be able to get into our marketing club, the member portal, and get started immediately. And do you mind if I read this one, Chris?
No, go for it.
Okay, so I love this response from Tracy Henderson, who's been a long-term client of ours. She said this resource, and what she's talking about is the marketing club, is so chock full at a crazy best price. There's no hidden fees. Invest in yourself and your business now. Don't wait. I love this. Over my 8 years, I wasted a lot of money elsewhere. My best investment to date. So if you want to experience things like Tracy has experienced, what I need you to do, go click on that join now button, because we're going to get to some Q&A. By the way, as Chris was talking about that 5-step process in the beginning, I started reflecting about a friend of mine. And this friend, she and her husband, they live in the Northeast. And she had called me one day and said, Gary, I am just struggling, man. I'm like plateaued at $3 million in production, and I just can't push through. What do I need to do? And I thought this was going to be a long call where I'm going to be like, okay, how do we strategize and figure out what's going on here? And I said, well, let me ask you a question here, Hillary. Her name is Hillary, and she's a member of our club. I said, Hillary, are you sending out that great content that you're getting every single month and following Chris's 5-step process? You know what she said?
She said no, otherwise she would not be in that situation.
She said no. I said, okay, this is what you got to do. You followed. I said, are you getting them every month? She goes, oh yeah, I get them. I just don't send them out. And I'm like, okay, enough conversation here. That's what you do. You send out that great content consistently every single month and call me in 3 months. She called me and she's like, I can't believe it's working. I'm like, I can, because it's supposed to work.
It's taking 20 years of cumulative practice, and it's doing what actually from a principle standpoint works, right? Like what we talked about in terms of taking these tools and directing it at a source of business works. We're just using some of the newer tools that are available to us, like Facebook Messenger, or 1-minute videos, or whatever the tools that are out there. And you know what? In 10 years, there's probably a different set of tools that we'll be using, because we always want to adapt to what's out there. One of the things I wanted to do, Gary, is because one of the gifts that we're giving away.
Oh, hold on! I have to tell the denouement, the happy ending of that story.
Oh, what happened?
Well, what happened is she called me back and she goes, this is exploding. And then this past year, she went from 3 million in production to 18.5 million. Wow. Why? Literally, she didn't change much in her business at all. It was that 5-step process. So, if it happens for Hillary, it can happen for you too. And it looks like you have our entire listing presentation.
I was just going to show, because we are giving it away, I just wanted to show the rest of it, because I literally only showed, during the training portion of our presentation today, I only shared with everybody like 3 or 4 slides. So anyway, I'm not going to talk about them. I was just going to scroll through them so everybody can see this listing presentation or marketing proposal template that Gary uses and that you're going to get today.
By the way, Chris, this is 23 years of studying sales and what our clients want in production right here. So it took 23 years to perfect this.
Well, and the fact is, it's professionally designed. It looks great. It makes you look great. And the fact that it's using best practices from sales psychology just makes it super effective. You know what I mean? Like that's the great thing about it is and I'm a big advocate in the use of tools and the use of templates, because it is it's way cooler if I could use a tool to save myself in terms of time, money, energy, effort. Like if I could just use a tool to solve the problem, becomes it's faster, it's easier. You get to the outcome that you want faster. And using a really good listing presentation template for many of you is going to be one of those tools that produces a really radical, like great change in terms of how you conduct yourself, in terms of how you represent yourself as a listing expert agent. And it doesn't take that much. I mean, download the template, put your own logo on there, and you will find that you very quickly are able to talk to these points, because the logic is all there, right? Being able to say, here's how I perform compared to the market. Here's what I do, to be able to produce that result, right? Like those are just conversational prompts, really. It's not like there's any, there's no hidden agenda of scripts, or how, like, whenever you go to a conference, Gary, there's always like those scripting type clinic type things where they're like, hey, you got to say this, when they ask if you're going to discount your fees, you tell them this. And the fact of the matter is, you don't have to do that. You can actually just have a well structured conversation that addresses many of those concerns, and then when something comes up, you've already done the groundwork. Like in our case on Will, someone, Gary still every now and then get asked if he discounts his fees because they feel like, and what they'll say like, oh, I just felt like I should ask. He'll always throw back to like, well, let's take a look at what we're going to do. And they're like, no, never mind. I just thought I would ask.
I just feel like I had to ask because essentially, number one is I don't say the word no to my client. I don't like that word. It shoves everything right back in their face. I don't like that. I don't like rejecting them. I say, oh gosh, you know what? Apparently I didn't do a very good job of explaining exactly how well we outperformed the market. Let's go back and take a look at that. They're like, nah, we're good. We just had to ask. It's like, okay, that's a really nice way of declining their request for that change. So, that's what we do.
And I think it's really important when you look at everything that we've done is that we've laid the groundwork necessary for them to rationalize it, for them to be like, yeah, Gary's good. He's good at what he does. I trust him more. I don't need, like, it's not worth, I mean, there's no reason, because I can see what he's going to do. It's not worth haggling over the fees because clearly he's going to not only produce a superior result, he's going to do a lot more than the other folks. And sure, maybe the other folks are going to do that, but they're not communicating it the way Gary is communicating it through the property marketing plan and through this listing presentation. I find that, and I know already, Gary, this, like there's probably a big chunk of folks on today's presentation that will wing their next listing appointment. And I've seen you wing it, and then I've seen you also not wing it. And even as a listing expert agent, when you wing it, you're not as good as when you use the templates, when you use the process you've created for yourself. It's just,
well, here's the thing, Chris. Ultimately, it's a detailed process to go through a really strong listing appointment. It's a detailed process. It's not that complicated. I mean, we break it down for you, but it's detailed. And when I wing it, inevitably, Chris, I'm going to forget something. And it could be the one thing that I forget might be the one thing that would have pushed them over the ledge or over the edge, push them over the edge to sign with us. Right. And if I miss it, that may be the one reason that they hire somebody else. So it's really, really important not to miss that.
One of the marketing authors that I like to read likes to say, when we win customers, we win them by a nose. Right. And he's referring to the analogy is from the horse races, because this person was into the horse races. And he would say, when you win a customer, you only need to win by a nose. You actually don't need to win by huge margins of difference. You only need to win by a nose. And like in the horse races, right, you're going to win. And you win by an inch, quarter inch. They only got to win by a nose to be able to win. And when you're in the horse races, the first place winner, right, from the prize money, they're going to get like 1,000 times than what the third place winner makes, right? The difference. I think, by the way, first, second, and third usually are in the money. Second and third are in the money. I mean, they'll still have a financial reward for winning in placing in the race. The other horses don't get anything. In our business, if you're second place, you don't get paid. That you don't get anything. And so it's so important, like each one of these points, this whole conversation that we've created on, how to generate the opportunity. So much there is not just creating the opportunities, but creating opportunities that already trust you. These opportunities are much higher quality than, let's say, the ones I buy from Facebook or from Zillow or the other places, right? It's just a higher quality lead because of the source, right? That's just, it costs less to produce and they're higher quality. Granted, it is because they know us. They know of us. They're connected to somebody who knows us. And we're just putting systems in place to generate that. But then it also goes on to what we send before, right? What we're going to do during and what we're going to send after. That whole thing creates that experience that we're trying to create. So with that, Gary, I want to zero in and answer as many questions. I know
absolutely.
as much time for Q&A today because I've got an appointment that I've got to rush to be at. So we've got some time for Q&A, which means I want you guys to do a couple of things. Ask some really good questions. And while you're doing that, make sure you don't let time get away from you. Go ahead and join the club so you can get these templates.
Right. So if you lost that, if you closed out that tab, you can still get it up over there, up at the top of the Q&A where you've been typing your questions. It says view the offer. Click on that. Click on the blue button that says join now, and join right now to get all of these templates as we get to the first question here. Chris, number one, Kitty Olivier says, is this a contract for a year or is it month to month? Cancel at any time. Yeah, Kitty, you can cancel at any time. We do not want to lock you into a contract. We want you to be think of it like this, Kitty. If you over deliver for your clients, your listings, your buyers, if you over deliver for them, stay in touch with them, they're going to send you referrals, right? Well, here's the thing. If we over deliver for you and we don't want to lock you into a contract, what we think happens is that you end up referring us to other agents who need our help
and you'll
too.
Be happy in the program, right? I think that's one of the things. If you love something, you must set it free. So we set you free. We don't lock you in.
That's hilarious.
Back to the mirrors. I know some of you, it's not going to be the right fit for everybody. And we're not trying, by the way, we're not trying to be a right fit for everybody. We know and we recognize that there are going to be folks who are like, no, I'm not doing those 5 steps. And I understand, like not everyone's saying to them, hey, I really want to grow the contacts and connections. And I don't want to, I get it. So it might not be a good fit, or others of you might be, yeah, I've been doing my listing appointments this way for so long that I just don't really want to change. I understand. I'm stubborn myself in a lot of things, and there's a lot of things that I won't change. So I know that there are, this is not for everybody, and we're not trying to be, but and we know that some of those folks will join because they're like, I really want to check those things out. But then eventually they might want to go away, and that's okay. That's why we make it month to month, Kitty, so that no one's tied into it. What our hope is that you're going to see the value in the resources. You're going to see the value in the ongoing training. You're going to see the value, and you will be getting the result of doing the 5 steps using the marketing materials that we provide you with, and that you'll want to stay a member, that you'll tell your friends about it.
And with that, talk about a little bit more about our membership. Mark Steffen asked a really good one. Is there also training with the paperless agent system?
There is. Every first and third Wednesday, we do a live training, which is great for those of you who can join us because you can answer or you can ask questions, and either Gary, myself, or one of our team of experts will be able to answer them. And but most people can't catch them live, right? Because they're in the afternoons and it's the first and third Wednesday, so you don't always get to do it. We do have a lot of people who do like show up every one, but my expectation is that you'll come when you need it. You'll go into the training library where all of the archives of everything that we've done, whether it's social media, whether it's listings, whether it's working with buyers, whatever the thing that you want to be able to accomplish, is that you'll go in there and in a just in demand or in an on demand format, you'll go in there, watch what you need. And here's a key point that I want to emphasize is you'll notice today we've created templates that we're giving you, whether it's Gary's listing presentation template or the client welcome kit templates or the property marketing plan. You're going to find that the training that we produce is oftentimes associated with some kind of tool, some kind of template, some kind of checklist, some kind of resource, something for you to use to be able to save you time, energy, and money, right? Whether that is, like we've got home buyer, people oftentimes will want a home buyer guide. So we've got home buyer guide templates in there. We've got checklists for doing all kinds of things, everything from open houses to you name it, right? There's so much in there that I don't want to, just when you log in, you'll check it out. Another great resource that's available to you is the community of members that we have. So we have a private Facebook group that's accessible only to members. Now, it includes all past and current members, right? So we never kick you out of the private Facebook group because we recognize that once you're part of the community, you're a part of the conversation, you're part of the dialogue. And so you're going to find that there's a wealth of information and really a wealth of training, although in a slightly different format because you're learning from other folks, but that is also available to you as well. And if it has anything to do with any of the tools or resources that we provide, Yes, we do. And in addition to that, if you run into problems or you run into like, you know what, I'm not quite sure how to do this, that's what our support team is available for. So we offer email support. You can just email our team at support@thepaperlessagent, and our team will get a hold of you and help you out with whatever you need.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So, boy, we've got a lot of questions here, Chris. A lot of good ones here. Stephanie De La Rosa and Mary both asked the similar question. And basically it's, are the blog posts state or location specific, or are they generic? So if you want to address that, I'm going to find the next question for us.
Sure. No, they are not state or location specific, although they are different between based on US and Canada, because we have enough clients and enough members who are in Canada who, if we cover something that has a lot of US references, we'll create a second version for our Canadian clients and for our Canadian members. But we cover a lot of different topics on those blog posts and in the marketing that we provide. There's a really good training on how to send out your first, we call it the MVP, or the monthly value program. That's the name that we've given those 5 steps that you're going to do to implement the marketing. It's called the MVP, or monthly value program. Jordan, one of our team members, produced a really, really good training on how to send out your first one. And you're going to find that every month the topics change, right? I forget what this month's topic is. I'm part of the team that approves and reviews every single one, but I usually see them in batches, so I don't remember which one it was. I know we recently did a home design trend. Oh, I think this month might have been the home design trends, because didn't you shoot the video about something home design? Yeah, because Gary did the 1-minute video. And we did something a little bit different. We actually did a 1-minute video of, it was like 3 or 4 15-second videos that we bunched together that we were going to use for social media and stuff like that. But that was the topic. But it ranges from that to, sometimes we'll do like national stats on what's going on with the housing market. We've done very specific things like how to get your home ready for sale, how to assess the value of a home, or how to figure out what your buying power is, how to choose a real estate professional. So we produce all these great, and you have access to the archives of them as well. So, if any particular month you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to send that one out, you can always go to the archives and pull one that you want to send out. Another great way of using the marketing materials that we provide, because we give you the archive, if you are out and about, and let's say you're doing the individual messaging follow-up that we talked about, remember, so there's 5 steps. There's publish useful real estate information, send an email out to everybody that you know with a link to that information, create a 1-minute video talking about that information and promoting that for $1 a day on Facebook. We're going to do 4 traditional social media posts a month related to that information. And step 5 is where we do the individual messaging and follow-up using tools like Facebook Messenger. Is that when you get to, oops, I see that thing just popped up. Did you just pop up that offer thing?
Yeah, somebody asked me, they had closed it, and they asked me in the Q&A session to relaunch it for them so they could go join.
Carrie, you just made me lose my thread. I forget what I was talking about.
That's okay. Well, I think
I was talking about something about the 5th step. I was explaining everything to get to the 5th step, because what was the question? There was a question there. I was answering a question.
So I think where you were going is that as you're out and about and you're talking to people, and they're going to ask you questions about real estate. Well, you can go back into the archive.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. They're going to ask you about questions about real estate, and you can say, oh, you know what? I have an article that I've written on that. Let me send it to you. Yeah. Really, really, really nice. So you have coffee with somebody.
You didn't write it, but we had a professional copywriter write it, and you can go back and just send out whatever that is. So
or you don't have to say I wrote. You can say I have a blog.
It doesn't matter. You can say you wrote it. We don't care. All right. Talking about that blog article and everything, Lynn Brady asked, can we edit the blog?
Yeah, it's you'll be able to log in and you can change it. I actually, one of the things I like to do, or I like to have Gary do from time to time, is take, so that 1-minute video that we're shooting. When I remember, I actually put a version of that at the top of the blog post, so that it really stands out. And in case they don't read it all, right? Because remember, the goal is not that they will read it. We choose topics that are of useful information, but it's not going to be relevant to everybody at all times. The reason for producing it and the reason for sending it out is to have a purpose in doing outreach, because it is much easier for you to promote yourself by promoting something else. right? Instead of saying, hey guys, look at me, I'm really awesome, is all you have to do is say, I've got this really awesome thing that I've got for you, and you look awesome. Does that make sense? It's kind of like getting referred versus saying how awesome you are. Now, if I were to say, guys, I'm good at marketing, or if Gary were actually to say, you know what, Chris is actually really good at marketing, it's better for him to say it about me than for me to say it about me. And that's the same way it is about providing and promoting value. So what happens is if you have some useful information, you're using that as a reason and positioning it as, I've got this thing for you, and I just wanted you to have it. Now you stand out and you are in a more effective way demonstrating and communicating your value in the marketplace. And I find that this is a big issue that we all need to get way better at, is being able to become effective communicators and effective demonstrators of our value in the marketplace. And I will say that right now in history, this is more of an issue than ever before. And there's two reasons why, but one primary reason why. And the primary reason, actually, let me give you the secondary reason. You got more competitors, you got iBuyers and you got all that stuff out there. But the actual real reason is that there are more members in the history of National Association of Realtors than in the history of the National Association of Realtors, right? So last year we crested the highest point ever in terms of the number of people selling real estate. And what that means is that there's a lot of competition out there. And what that means is we must be able to show why someone needs to choose us over somebody else. Right? That's really what it comes down to. Those of us who become masters of value articulation, right? So those of us who get really good at explaining to people why they need to hire us instead of somebody else, or instead of explaining it to them, showing them, right? By providing them value on a consistent basis, by getting recognized as a listing expert agent, those are the folks who will get the larger portion of opportunity out there. But every one of us needs to get good at it, because our livelihood depends on our ability to demonstrate that value.
And Chris, the key is using tools to demonstrate that value instead of me sitting here trying to tell you how awesome I am. And that's what I love here, is like, these tools are so darn powerful at communicating your value to your potential or existing or past customers that you don't have to walk around touting how awesome you are. You're using the tools to do it.
Well, like that marketing plan is a great example. You don't have to get into all the time. I mean, you need to do it during the listing appointment, but you don't have to always be talking about it, because you've got the evidence in that tool and you've provided it to them at a time when it's most relevant. They're thinking they want to sell their home. They're about to have an appointment with the person who's going to sell their home or might sell their home. And now they've gotten this document that shows them what you're going to do to sell the home. That's what, and when I'm talking about, we must get good at articulating our value or communicating our value. This is an example of an effective way of doing it. Creating a property marketing plan and sending it at the opportune time. That's how we communicate value, right? And so that's just one example out of the many. Every one of these tools, by the way, is a different way to communicate your value, whether it's the listing presentation templates, client welcome kit templates, the property marketing plan templates, heck, the marketing that we suggest that you do as part of the 5 steps every month. Those are all different ways to articulate and communicate value. You see, when we don't, and you guys know, there's a lot of folks out there who don't do this, right? There's a lot of people out there, they don't know that this is a thing that they should be doing. They don't know that there's so much opportunity sitting out there if they'll repeat these steps. And so, like, when more people understand how to do this, there's less struggle, there's less frustration. Like when Hillary was calling on Gary and saying, yeah, I mean, when she was at that when she had sunk down to that 3 million mark, those were tough, those were lean times for her, right? It doesn't need to be that way. I mean, it was literally as simple as do these 5 steps with the stuff that we already give you every month. And she was like, okay.
And it shifted her business so fast, Chris. It was just a delight to see. Somebody else had closed their offer on the page and wanted it again. They said, okay, you've convinced me, I'm joining. Can I get that button again? I just launched it for you. So if you go click on that blue button, you'll be able to join, and you're going to get all of these templates immediately. Like, you're getting them today. You could literally, modify that property marketing plan template if you want to. send it out to anybody you're going on a listing appointment tomorrow, modify your listing presentation and present that tomorrow. And then after the appointment, modify the client welcome kit template and email that out after your listing appointment. I mean, it's just that simple. So go do that right now, because we want to make sure that you get that in the next, it looks like we've got 16 minutes left. Next question I have is from Eddie. And Eddie says, I use Realty Juggler, not familiar with it. I know of it, I've never used it, as my database. How can I use this with my clients with email? So Chris, I mean, it doesn't matter what email system you're using. It doesn't matter what database you're using. We're giving you the system and the marketing tools to be able to execute.
You can take the content and drop it into whatever tool that you're using, right? I'm going to assume I have not used that tool either. So I'm assuming there's like an email function there. So you would take the email copy that we provide and the link to the post that we provide, and you drop it in there.
Yeah.
And then you just implement the remainder of the steps. I don't know. I doubt that it connects with social media in that way, but if it does, then you would take the content that we provide on social media and plug it in there if it also posts for you. So, but yeah, it's the main thing is getting the hard part of it, right? Like, here's what I know, and this is our own observation from selling real estate. The hard part is getting that information. It's getting that quality content that to use on a regular basis. That's really becomes the stumbling block, right? To produce that information. I know it takes time because we produce it. So I know it takes time, but we've got a team. So we're trying to produce it so we can share it for you on your behalf. And then what happens is we can spend more time making it even better for you to put to work and for you to utilize. But that always becomes the roadblock, right? It's not the, oh, I got a tool that does it. It's like, well, I need the good information. I need the quality, useful real estate information that I want to put out there, so that when people think of me, they think of real estate. And when they think of real estate, they think of me. Well, that becomes the roadblock. So we removed the roadblock, because when we first started telling people to do this, they're like, well, where do I get the stuff from? We're like, but just write something. Right? And they're like, I don't want to. Oh, okay. And that became the roadblock. So the way we overcame that was we started doing it for you guys.
Awesome. All right. Chris Stokes says, in regards to your marketing plan, why do you say send it to them before the listing presentation? My broker has said not to leave anything with them, because then competing agents can see it, promise everything we do, and more. That it doesn't happen that way.
That's kind of like a scarcity fear-based attitude.
Right.
And I understand it, because it is more competitive than ever before, with more people out there. And so I understand it. But here's the thing. If that scarcity mindset prevents you from providing good value to your client, then I would say that it's in conflict. It's a conflict of interest. If a mindset's going to prevent you from providing great value to customers, don't do it. Don't do that thing. And so in this case, not equipping them with the means to make a really good decision and feel good about the decision is not a reason not to provide them with something. The fact of the matter is,
well said, really well said.
The fact of the matter is, it's going to help serve them. You're serving them by giving them the information in advance. By, that approach is the same approach that we used to use way back in the day, which was when we withheld the listing information, right? The information wasn't available on the internet. And so in order if you wanted to know what was on the market, you had to contact us, because that was the only way to find out when the market. Well, that strategy worked when we had the information. Well, the fact of the matter is, the consumers wanted it. They didn't want to have to talk to somebody. They didn't want to have to go sit in a kiosk or read through a big book to get it. They wanted it on the internet. And so the consumer got what they want. And so I would say that, and you know who gave it to them? Somebody else, not us. That's the unfortunate fact, is somebody else gave it to them, and they beat us to the punch. Well, don't let your value, don't withhold your value. If part of your value is what you're going to do, let them have access to it. Let them see it. Let them experience it. Don't put constraints on, here's what I'm going to do, and so I'm not going to send you this thing. So that's what my advice would be.
Solid advice. Next question. Another one from Stephanie De La Rosa. She's really paying attention. You mentioned we will get a website. When and how is that process? You want to kind of talk about that website that they get?
It is part of, so when you go through, actually, when you sign up, for those of you who have signed up, you might not be here anymore. Actually, you might be in the website doing the stuff. So once you sign up for the club, you'll automatically be logged in to the member site, and you're going to see that there's a lot of good stuff in there. You're not quite sure where to start. The first thing you're going to do is make sure you check out our career acceleration plan, because that's going to lay out, basically everything that you're going to need to do for the foreseeable future, right? Not just doing the things that we talked about today, but really how you build and grow a thriving real estate practice, right? How you really develop that, how you develop your real estate career. That's what that is designed for. And it's a tool, that acceleration plan, career acceleration plan, is a tool for you to always keep coming back to, even as you get into as a more seasoned real estate professional, because there's lots of things that we can revisit and improve on, or new strategies to implement, new opportunities for us to be able to take advantage of. But you're going to find that you log into the site and there is a way to set that up. It is sitting on a WordPress backbone, so there's just a series of clicks to be able to set that site up, and it should be up and running. I mean, you can literally set that up, I think, within 10 minutes. We will eventually start prompting you to set it up. You'll start getting emails from us saying, hey, you haven't set up your site. Just do so. It only takes 10, 15 minutes to do so. Click here, 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 and there. And of course, if you run into problems setting up, you just send us an email at support@thepaperlessagent.com, and our team, Ken, is available to assist.
Awesome. Next question. Bill says, can the houses in the listing presentation template be changed? They look more modern than the market I'm in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's in PowerPoint and Keynote. Download the version that is compatible for what you're going to make the modifications on, and get photos. Heck, a great way to do that is take photos of your own recently sold or past listings that you feel like are a really good representation of your market and of the homes that you want to be selling, and put those in there. That's actually a really good idea.
Carly says, can the templates open with Adobe Reader? Because I'm having some troubles. The templates actually come to you.
You can open the PDFs in the PDF versions in Adobe Reader, but I don't think you can modify anything in Adobe Reader. You can only view it. You have to use a tool like PowerPoint, Keynote, Microsoft Word. So that if your Adobe Reader is just a reading, hence the name Reader implies, right? It's not an editing tool. So you can open PDFs with Adobe Reader, but if you actually want to modify a document, you got to modify it in the source application that was created. So for example, if it's a Word document, it was created in Microsoft Word, so you want that. If it's a Pages document, then it was created in Apple Pages, you want that. We always provide both versions, either the Mac or PC version, both versions, so that one of those two things. But Adobe Reader is it's a reading app. It's not a viewing app. It's not an editing app. So you'll need one of those tools.
Awesome. Ian says, how can I get this 8-week marketing plan in PowerPoint? You want to explain how they're going to find that when they log in?
That is actually not in PowerPoint. The 8-week marketing plan is in Microsoft Word and Pages. And the reason why I created it in that is more of a document. And actually, there's a more recent version. When you go in there, you're going to find there's an updated version.
It is beautiful.
Yeah, it looks way better even than that. I just I haven't gotten around to updating this presentation with the new
every time. I
know. I always update presentations based on what's happening. Sometimes I don't update the individual images. So
yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was at the end of last year I created a new version of the property marketing plan, and I was excited. I wanted a new one for us to start working with. That, like, I don't know. Anyways, I made a new one, and then I was like, I should probably make this available to our members. And so you'll go log in and you'll be able to see there's a new and improved version of the property marketing plan. And I suggest that you check that one out. Again, that one is in Microsoft Word and Apple Pages, for you to be able to go in there and actually make edits to it. I changed the structure, so it's no longer a weekly plan, but it's more written like how like a PR firm would do a marketing proposal. So anyway, you'll see that when you log in.
Really, really well done. Mike Stanachek says, are there strategies that you teach similar for LinkedIn?
We don't have a strategy that I teach. Well, two things. First is that 5-step plan that I shared with you. Step number 4 is where you would include LinkedIn, right? So posting on social media, it's not just Facebook, it's you post on social media. By the way, you could share that 1-minute video also on LinkedIn. But here's what I will share. What I would suggest is we did a training with the America, or the leading LinkedIn coach, the leading LinkedIn expert, Ted Padromo. And if you'll look into the training library in the archives, you're going to find that we had Ted came in and he did a full training on LinkedIn strategies. Because to be honest with you, I use LinkedIn and I've done some training on how to get like an all-star profile. So in our training that I've created, I know how to show you how to produce or what's considered an all-star profile, which is a technical term in LinkedIn. It's when you've completed a series of steps. There's 10 steps that you do to have an all-star profile. And when you do that, your profile will get viewed more often. But Ted came in and he shared with actual strategies on how to use it. Because as it turns out, and I knew this, but I didn't know it. Does that make sense? I knew LinkedIn was one of the things that everybody looked at, because when people Google you, and trust me, your clients are Googling you, your prospects are Googling you, LinkedIn is going to be usually on the first page of search results, usually in the top 5. And so it gets clicked on a lot of the time. And so it's really important to have a good looking one. Remember, I talked about we want to have a powerful online presence. Part of that is having a decent LinkedIn profile. But Ted Prodrome actually gave us strategies on how to use that from a prospecting standpoint, because LinkedIn, if used correctly, can be a really powerful tool, because it is a tool for networking, a professional networking. And just to give you some insight, a little bit about Gary's database and a little bit about Gary's contacts and connections, is that over the years he started to, and I think it's just a byproduct of him being this type of person, but so many of his contacts and connections they're like executives, they're business owners, they're professionals, they're people who would be on LinkedIn. And so of course that is a good place for him to be able to connect with them, because they are there. So it is a good place to have a presence. But like I said, what we did is, and you'll actually see in our training library, there's been a number of times where we've invited top experts who don't normally do training, or if they do, they have a paid version, but they agreed to come in and do the training with us because we pay them to do it for all of you guys. And so they would share. So we've had people come in and talk about Instagram. We've had people come in and talk, and we also do training on Instagram, by the way, but I like for you to hear from more than just us. We've done training on LinkedIn. We've done lots of training on video, and we do a lot of training. We've had experts come in, and we also do training on video because we have a lot, and we've even had our video guy, our in-house guy, come in and do training. In fact, he'll be doing a training, I think, next week with everybody on how to do those short videos that we shared with you on how to do the 5 steps. Remember, I said their step 3 was do 1-minute video. You're going to learn how to do that next week with Jarrett. We've had someone come in, Kate, all come in and talk about Pinterest. We've had Phil Nottingham come in and talk about doing real estate videos. And so we just had so many different experts come in and share. And I find that if you are, let's say there's an area of struggle that you're having, it's not always, but it's oftentimes a gap in knowledge that you have, or a gap in skill. So let's say you're having difficulty getting customers. There's a gap in knowledge. There's a gap of skill. We've got a lot of training on how to get customers. But there might be other areas where you're experiencing difficulties. And that is oftentimes, again, a gap in knowledge and gap of skill. And so when you can get to the right information to solve it, guess what? That frustration point goes away. I'll tell you what, though, usually the last thing that I will do is to think to myself, you know what? I think I have a skills gap here. I think I have a knowledge gap here. Who can I talk to? What resources do I have available to me to be able to close that gap and solve this issue? It's not an intuitive thing to do, which is to say, ooh, I'm struggling in this area. Let me go learn something to solve this. It's not necessarily an intuitive thing to do.
Well, and that's why we give you absolutely everything that works for us. I mean, we have been doing this 23 years, and what we do is we basically compile everything that works for us now, and we bundle it up, we package it, we give it to you, and we also train you on it. So, if you want to get started with this today, and you want to take advantage of this offer, and you want to start sending out the 5 steps that Chris is talking about, and really start, catapulting your business for this 2020 year, what you need to do is go over, click on the button, sign up now, and you're going to get our listing presentation templates, our client welcome kit templates, our property marketing plan templates as bonus gifts when you join our club today. So go do that right now. And I need you to do it right now, because we've literally got a couple seconds left here on this webcast. So
is it time to sign off? I got an appointment to get to, Gary.
You got to run. So, if you haven't done it yet, I encourage you, do yourself a favor, give yourself a gift, give your business a gift, and go join our club now. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see everybody here in our private Facebook group online. It's a great place to really brainstorm with other people and send and receive referrals from all across North America. So go do it right now. And with that, Chris, I want to say, man, thank you. I've got so much gratitude for you for creating this presentation and helping train all of the people here in our audience today. That was really well done.
Well, thank you, Gary. And of course, thank you for selling real estate on the daily. So we got something to be able to share, some expertise, some listing expert agent advice to share with everybody, because I know that's what's going to make the difference for folks, right? So if you start saying and doing the things that listing expert agents do, you'll get the results that they get. And with that, Gary, thank you. You guys, thanks for hanging out with us for the last hour and 45 minutes. We look forward to seeing you on the next training with through the Paperless Agent as part of a member. And we will see you in the private Facebook group. We'll see you online. Take care.
All right. Bye, everybody.